Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in. I was just talking to my father-in-law, and it's pretty amazing that we can stream an entire broadcast from the comfort of our homes. Can you imagine back in the 50s when they first started watching color TVs? If you would have told them back then, hey, you might be able to broadcast from your room one day, that'd be pretty outlandish. Okay, I'll get started. I didn't realize I'd become so nervous. I'm not even talking to anyone. I feel like I'm at a job interview with no participants. So I just got to remind myself that I'm doing this for me. I've always wanted to do this to have sort of an outlet, a verbal diary, if you will. And I want to talk about addiction, alcoholism specifically, and mental health struggles that I've gone through. So I'll get started. We're just going to have a chill half-hour discussion. This is my very first stream, so we'll see how it goes. I think I got all the technical nuances sorted out. My setup is such that I always like these setups when I see other streams. So, of course, the front-facing camera, and then I like to be able to see what people are actually doing. Maybe it's my voyeuristicness in me, but it's cool to be able to see the setup. It gives kind of a different perspective. Okay. And I have this set to where these recordings are also video on demand. So if you're not able to watch it live, you can go back and check it out later. So I'm going to jump in. My name is John. I am an alcoholic. And I struggle with mental health things. I don't want to call them issues because they're just part of who I am. So what I want to talk about today is basically the synopsis of how my drinking came to an end and how my new journey began. A lot of interesting facets to it that I never really started putting together until a few months ago. So, all right. I've got notes here. I'm using my notepad, so you might see me distracted over here looking at that once in a while. I'm going to include my wife, Judy, in this. I did ask her if she wanted to be included because it was a joint journey that we were going through, and she said, of course. So nothing I'm going to be saying in here is without her permission. There's a couple friends and relatives that I'm going to be talking about too, and I think for the friends, I won't be using their real names to protect the guilty. And I think my sister-in-law said I could use her real name, so I will. Her name's Michelle. Too late. There, it's out there. Michelle and Guy, the in-laws that are part of this journey. Okay, so been a heavy drinker for 20 plus years. The drinking was a real lifestyle of ours as well. We were home brewers. We did a lot of barbecuing, eating a lot of fatty, greasy foods, and drinking super high octane beers. The health aspect has a lot to do with it, and I'll talk about that in another episode. But for the last 3 to 4 years, the drinking really started to come to a point to where it was a 7-day-a-week hangover. The weekend hangovers started to get just fucking brutal. I mean, debilitating. I'm 50 years old, and for both of us, we'd wake up on some Saturday and Sunday mornings just physically unable to get out of our bed. It was rough. So yeah, there was times where I'd be waking up 9, 10 o'clock in the morning with my face buried in my pillow, Judy laying next to me, and I would just be whimpering, like gently crying, just telling myself, like, I have got to fucking quit drinking. I just can't do it anymore. Yeah, that was that was tough because the next thing you know, I would be taking a shower, just trying to pull myself together, but then following all of that up with a Bloody Mary or whatever, and then the day would just start like that on the weekends, getting drunk again. So I don't. I know that people have rock bottom episodes when it comes to drugs and alcohol. I don't know. Well, I did have one, and I'll get into that in a minute. I don't, but it wasn't necessarily a rock bottom that made me want to quit. I think I had the benefit of my brain and my body going, that's it, enough. You are not going to be able to handle this anymore. So, what happened was almost 2 years ago, we went with some friends, I will call Billy and Karen. We took a trip to Seattle in July, and we went out to eat and drink. And I think I had one of my first panic attacks there. I got super lightheaded. It was difficult to breathe. I started to feel like I was having heart palpitations and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, fast forward about a month, well, 2 weeks later, I was back home. Judy went on a road trip to see some in-laws, and I was not super hungover, but I woke up I think on the Saturday or Sunday morning from a heavy night of drinking, and I started watching war movies and drinking probably at, I don't know, started at 9 or 10 in the morning. Next thing you know, I what I know now was I had a wicked panic attack. I thought I was having a stroke. I thought I was having a heart attack and a stroke and an aneurysm all in one. It's tough to describe. I I couldn't catch my breath. My extremities were going numb. I I crawled over to the phone and I called 911, and half of my face was numb and it wasn't working. I could barely talk, and I told the 911 operator, I'm like, I think I'm having a stroke. I was just like that. I'm not trying to be funny, but I couldn't talk. And the ambulance and paramedics showed up and gave me some oxygen, took me to the hospital. They did a bunch of tests, and there was nothing wrong. So I left the hospital. I came home, slept really hard for a day, and then started drinking again. I didn't really at the time there wasn't really any physical or mental issues that were going to stop me from drinking, because there's always the mental negotiation, if you will, that is, I don't know what the fuck that was. It's I don't know. I got to fix my diet. I got to do something. Maybe I'll go get maybe I need blood pressure medication or something. There's for me, it wasn't necessarily a denial, but it was yeah, just a handshake with myself, I guess, of, just tone it down, take it easy, maybe only drink on the weekends, yeah, whatever. So Billy and Karen came over a couple of weekends after that, and we had some drinks till way late in the morning, like we used to do. We used to have a lot of fun. Well, it all revolved around getting just super hammered. But yeah, debilitating to try and get out of bed the next day. So it was that was the last drinking episode was with them, because we woke up on a Monday morning. I went to I was working from home. It was still pandemic stuff, so I work from right over there. By the way, that's why there's another microphone and two monitors. I just slide over here, work. But yeah, that was the last episode with Billy and Karen, because I was just in here at work shaking, having little anxiety attacks, not necessarily panic attacks. I don't know, a couple hours into the start of the day, I went in and I told Judy, I said, I think we need to really start to tone back the drinking. Let's try to just drink on the weekends. And she said, okay, that sounds great. I want to do that too. And I grabbed some water, try to rehydrate myself, and I came back into work. And I really started ruminating on the decision that I had made, and I knew that it was going to be a colossal failure, because I went in and I told Judy, I said, hey, you know that if you and I stop drinking during the weekdays and then pick it up on the weekends, we're going to make up for what we missed during the week, because that's just how we are. Moderation is not something that's ever been in our repertoire. It just doesn't fucking work. There's absolutely no way I could have a little bit. That's the crux of my disease, and I'm not alone with that. But so I said, let's do a 30-day challenge, and she said, okay, let's do that. I said, all right. And I came back in, went to work. About a half hour later, her and I met, and we looked at each other and said, I think we were both thinking the exact same thing, and we wanted to say it at the same time. And I'm going to get into the hesitation of that in a second. I said, hey, I think I just want to quit drinking. And she said, oh, I do too. And I said, why the fuck did you not say anything? How long you been wanting to do this? It was weird. It was like my frustration got projected on her. I said, how long you been wanting to do this? She's like, at least a couple of years. I'm like, well, fuck, me too. Why didn't you say something? She said, I was scared. Yeah, so was I. Very strange that we're destroying our bodies and we're afraid to talk about it with the people we love the most, and to make the lifestyle change. My rationale a few years ago of when I was crying in my pillow and I wanted to quit drinking, the first thing that always popped up was, well, you're a home brewer and this is really the lifestyle that you have. You just built a kegerator with 3 taps on it, and you got friends that come over. Friends, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, we were scared. We were met with a ton of excitement right away, and I think relief when we made the decision to quit. I think we went into a little bit of a defense mode, and I looked online to find something to read. I don't know. I felt like we needed help because we were ready to do it, but what do you do? we were heavy drinkers, but we weren't at the stage yet to where we needed to go through medical detox. Just quitting for a couple days was painful, but we got through it. By the way, for any of you folks that are struggling with quitting drinking, if you are going through serious delirium tremens and stuff like that, and you want to quit, don't just quit. There's a likelihood that you're going to have pretty bad seizures, and believe it or not, you could fucking die if you just quit. Alcohol is one of those weird drugs to where if you just cut it off and you're physically dependent on it, it'll kill you. So you have to get detoxed with benzodiazepines and stuff like that. My brother-in-law, he was a heavy whiskey drinker, and when he quit, he would have seizures. He would have seizures when he was still drinking. Anyway, that's not my story to tell. That's his, but he's my role model through all of this. I kind of followed his path. He quit drinking 5 years before we did, or 6 years, but anyway. So I completely lost track of my thought there. That's where it helps to have someone talking back at you. Okay, so yeah, we quit. Anyway, so yeah, we were sitting here and we got excited about the prospect of quitting drinking. So a couple days passed and we just started going through it. And it was exciting. After the first 3 days, well, I stopped having these weird flop sweats that I'd always used to have when I was hungover and shaking and just looking all swollen and bloated. That started to go away really quickly. Our internal organs started to feel a lot better. I know that sounds crazy, but towards the end, I think Judy said she was actually able to feel her liver in pain. It seems like I was feeling my kidneys and my lower abdomen area a lot. So yeah, that's the other thing. Consciously, you just know, you're like, fuck, I am nuking my body. What am I doing? Alcohol's a poison. There's just no way to justify what it is. Alcohol is a poison, and your body constantly fights to deal with it. So I don't know. After a couple weeks, we noticed that we started rapidly losing weight, which was a huge benefit. We started sleeping a hell of a lot better. Our overall senses just started to really blossom. It was like they were waking up from a long frozen slumber. And that was a really tough time for me. The first part of it was really good. I started to feel really energized and invigorated, but for me, a shit ton of mental health issues started to jump out of the closet, and I did not know what the hell was going on. I'm going to start talking about the overall mental health stuff in another episode, because that's just a deep dive. But I'm going to try to regularly do this every Saturday, and I do want to talk about that. That's the key component of this stream, is talking about. I'm gonna share all the raw details of what my brain was going through after I quit drinking. I never drank to suppress emotions or feelings. I always drank and had fun while I was drinking, and that's why I would drink. It just always heightened the good times, a celebration. I would think, oh, 4th of July is coming, man, I'm going to get fucking hammered. Or Thanksgiving is coming, I'm going to get super drunk, drunker than I always would, of course. Whatever you name the holiday, I would base it all around that and how many days I could drink really heavily during those times. So, after that panic attack, and then once I did finally, start to go through the healing process, I had that honeymoon of feeling good. I wasn't worried about not drinking anymore. I really felt that, especially with a partner that's going through it with you, I think that's a huge benefit. Obviously, if you're in a relationship to where your partner doesn't want to quit with you or they don't have the same problems, I can't imagine how tough that is. I know there's a friend of mine on here that we talk about that because he's in a different relationship, and he initially had some struggles with that too. But that's not my story anyway. It was really nice to have Judy with me because we would wake up, and there was so many times we would roll over and look at each other and go, I am so fucking thankful that we are not hungover. The first holiday that we had was right after my birthday. I was sober, my first sober birthday in 2021. I have my sobriety date tattooed right here. And then Labor Day weekend, that was traditionally another one where I would always just get super, super drunk. But yeah, on that Labor Day weekend, I went for a long run, and I was just really reflecting on how not hungover I was. It felt really good. So the momentum for it was really there, and the thing that worried me about the momentum of not drinking was that I know that I always approach things full steam ahead. No matter what it is, I get super interested and I just attack it. So with the drinking, I thought, man, I hope this isn't a phase of me just jumping into something and attacking it full steam ahead and then getting bored with it and wanting to go back. If Judy and I weren't going through it together, I don't know how successful I could have been, but 6 or 7 months later, we both reflected on it, and we'd check in and have honest discussions about where we were. In the beginning, we had cravings. It's different for everybody. Mine were more of I call it a ritual craving. I think 2 months or so after I was sober, I was building a shed out back, and it was at the tail end of summer and fall. Fall was kicking in, and I was out there sweating, and I got done, and I came in. I walked up the stairs, came into the kitchen, getting ready to take a shower, and I looked at Judy, and I said, oh my fucking God, I could really, really just slam a 6-pack of Busch Light right now. I mean, I could have just cracked them open and chugged. And I think, yeah, the ritual portion of it definitely was a weird eye-opener because Judy says, have a seltzer water. And I cracked open the seltzer water and I chugged it. And just the effervescence and the refreshingness of it really, really took away that craving for me. After working outside like that and continuing on with the ritual, I used to have shower beers. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I would jump in the shower and have a nice cold beer in there. But I took my seltzer water in there and it felt pretty good. But yeah, we continued the journey. Again, always just checking in with each other and seeing how we are. And, I shared the news with Michelle and Guy, my in-laws that have been going through their own sobriety journey. And it's nice to be able to share that with someone. We met on vacation a few months back and really had a good discussion for a couple days about what sobriety meant for us and how we've all worked really hard at it and how we're doing with it at our age. So that's the other thing, you're never too old to quit. I know that sounds strange. I read a quick article the other night about people in their 60s and 70s who just are starting the sobriety journey. So I don't know, maybe you're waking up today on a Saturday morning and you're doing the same thing. Partied way too hard last night and thinking to yourself, I have got to quit fucking drinking. There's resources out there. AA, I'll talk about that real quick. Judy and I went through it, what my therapist called just white knuckling it. We didn't really have a support system. I think my support system was the two of us. Judy and I are pretty tenacious and stubborn, and once we get our heads wrapped around something, and especially if it feels good, then we attack it. The feeling good portion was relationship mending that started to surface, and all the closeness that I started to feel again with Judy that I didn't realize I was missing. But anyway, about the resources out there, we white knuckled it. We were on vacation and we got invited by Michelle and Guy to go to an AA meeting, and that was our first one, and I enjoyed it. It was refreshing. It was nice to be able to stand up in front of people and proclaim that I was an alcoholic. I think it allowed me to just get something off my chest. When we got home and we continued going to Alcoholics Anonymous here where I live, and we probably went to 7 or 8 meetings, and I went to a couple different ones in a couple different locations. And after being sober for 10 months, Judy and I we gave it a real good shot. It just wasn't for us. I think it's a fantastic resource for people that are starting out. Take from it what you can, go check it out. The biggest benefit is there's people that are going through the same struggles that you can look at and talk to and go, oh, I'm not alone in this. But I think maybe it was just our area or what, but every one we went to, it was just fucking wildly depressing. We were not getting from it what we wanted, and we were sure taking away a lot of negative pent up frustration and energy from people. So after a while, Judy and I had a chat of, is this working for you? Because it's not doing shit for me. It's making me feel super sad. But I think it was just because of the journey that we're on. Now, there are folks that I know that have been going to AA for a long time. I'm not besmirching the good name of AA. I'm just saying some things work for some people, some things don't work for others. What worked for me was going to therapy, one-on-one sessions, and then starting to see a psychiatrist, because I'm going to get into the PTSD stuff that I just started to deal with at age 50 from Desert Shield, Desert Storm, a bunch of Army stuff, and a bunch of childhood abuse trauma that, again, I was never drinking to suppress anything. I didn't know there was anything to suppress, but just by happenstance of where I was at in my life, once I stopped drinking, my brain was like, hey, I got a surprise for you. I'm going to unbundle all of this shit you've been sweeping under the rug, and we're going to talk about it. And I was like, I don't want to talk about it, man. It's a bit much for me to digest right now. But It's good getting through it. Every day that I wake up, I'm a lot better than I was than yesterday. So we'll start next episode. I want to talk about anxiety and panic, depression. Man, fucking depression. And when I say depression, I always get a chuckle when I go through an episode now and then. Clinical, deep, chemical-based depression. Something's not right with my brain, and yeah, it's wake up and it's just dark, dismal. Try to pull myself out of it, and I'll tell my father-in-law, hey, he's like, how are you doing today? And I'll say, Dad, I got the blues. I'm depressed. And he's like, well, what's wrong? You've got a house, your bills are paid, you've got your health. I'm like, man, it's not that fucking easy to explain. It's a chemical imbalance. It's not something I can just switch off. So for those of you that are out there struggling with depression, anxiety and panic is a different thing I'll talk about, but depression, people think, oh, you're just sad, just go exercise or something. That's not how it works. I've been in states of depression for probably 2-3 weeks to a month. It's not good. It's not good at all. Now, my latest depression episode, I called my friend. I told her what was going on. I talked to Judy. I told her what was going on. It wasn't going away for 2 weeks. And it hit me. Hey, man, you've been seeing a psychiatrist. Your appointment's not for a month, but just fucking call her up and explain what's going on. And she's like, well, yeah. The medication we had you on we needed to adjust the dose sooner rather than later. So I was going to wait till February, but thanks for calling. I'm like, God damn, I wish you could have gave me a heads up before I slipped into the deep, dark abyss. Anyway, I'm good, as it says up there. I'm fine. But yeah, talk to somebody. Figure it out. Okay. That's it. I got a ton of stuff to cover. This was the first sort of test stream. I like it. I think I got the cobwebs out. It feels good. I got some refinement to figure out. But I want to keep the discussion and episodes short and sweet. I may increase it to maybe doing an hour on Saturdays, or maybe kick it up to doing like a Friday night and a Wednesday. So I don't know. We'll see. I see the chat going back and forth, and I appreciate all the comments and compliments, but I get distracted by that, so I'm not looking. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for just allowing me to. Well, you're not allowing me. I basically force-fed this upon you. So anyway, I'll continue next Saturday. I got the schedule that'll be updated. I'm religiously going to do it on Saturdays at 9 unless I'm sick or break my leg or something. Maybe if I break my leg, I'll still do it. But so next Saturday, I'm going to talk about the friendships that were bruised and the friendships that were lost along the sobriety journey, and how the relationship with my wife and my in-laws changed. And I'm also going to take a deep dive into depression. So sad. Shit is so sad. But I'm going to tell you how I dealt with it and continue to deal with it, and how I dealt with panic attacks, how Judy helped me deal with panic attacks. Fucking panic attacks, they're the worst. I'll get into that. Here's what happens. Here's an hors d'oeuvre. Once you have a panic attack, like I did, then you start to fucking build yourself up about having another panic attack, which creates a panic attack. I found myself at the grocery store fucking discombobulated and thinking to myself, oh my God, I'm gonna fucking pass out at IV. I'm gonna have to call the ambulance. I'm gonna be laying on the floor here. Anyway, we'll get into that at another time. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next week. And if you've got some friends out there or people that you know that are struggling with mental health, addiction, one form or the other. Oh, the other thing I'm going to talk about in the next couple of weeks is my family's predisposition to become wildly addicted to opiates. Coincidentally, heads up, they're all dead now. So we'll get into that too. But if you know someone that wants to just have a chill time and drink some coffee and see that there's other people out there that are struggling with this stuff and that have struggled with it, then forward this link to them and let them know that there's folks out there that are talking about it and they're not alone. All right. Thank you all. See you next week.